As the impact on Woodstock and each of your cities if House Bill 1129, the de-annexation bill, passes, the governor signs it, and do you think the county will try to reduce the area for expansion when the growth agreements begin to expire? We'll start.
Yeah, it's an interesting one to get to answer before the mayor of Holly Springs.
Yes.
I don't envy the position Holly Springs is in as they're navigating this in the county. For those of you who aren't familiar with what we're talking about, Holly Springs had an annexation, county didn't like it, several state legislators didn't like it, the state legislature is now legislatively de-annexing portions of Holly Springs in response to that. That creates a really interesting state and local control quandary in question. Legally and constitutionally, the state General Assembly charters our cities, so they have a lot of rights constitutionally around what they can do with regard to this. How do each of us as residents want the state interacting? I tend to lean into local control is best control. It is certainly the most accountable control you have. My worry for the long term, again, awkward answer before the mayor of Holly Springs. I'm not terribly concerned about the long-term ramifications about this immediate bill outside of Holly Springs. If I were in Holly Springs, I'd be fighting tooth and nail. We have a better relationship, and I think this is even true for Holly Springs outside of this issue right now, between the cities and the county and the delegation than each of us have had in a very long time. We are all talking, we are all meeting, and we have growth boundary agreements now, which genuinely does change the dynamic when it comes to arguments. So I'm optimistic about what the future looks like. I am excited for the county and Holly Springs and the state to find their way through this. I know that they will. They're all good players at the table. And Holly Springs has great leadership, both in Ryan and their council. I know we're going to find our way through this. I won't pretend to answer for Holly Springs and how, but I'm optimistic about what the future looks like when it comes to working together. And we all want that, by the way. It wasn't long ago, I said not long ago, it was 4 years ago that the city of Woodstock was in the Supreme Court of Georgia over a lawsuit with the county over an annexation. And that's why we're into growth boundary agreements now, right? Is because we don't need that. Every time we run into issues like this, it costs all of us money. Turns out I pay county taxes just like I pay city taxes. And so particularly for city residents, it's a tremendously expensive, both in money and in time cost when we get into these kinds of fiefdom fights. They're not worthwhile endeavors, but they matter a lot when they're happening. And so I am optimistic, both that these great leaders are going to find their way through it, and that once we do, that we have all set the foundation to have good conversations and meaningful dialogue moving forward.
Thanks.
Yep. I'm going to get a cup of coffee.
So this is a very interesting thing, okay? I'm going to piggyback off what Mike said because I don't want to reiterate everything he's saying. House Bill 1029 was very frustrating for a city. More so because how everything led up to that. You guys probably saw in Cherokee Connection, you guys probably saw in the newspaper, a constant rhetoric of Holly Springs has broken the growth boundary, Holly Springs is out of control, and this just wasn't true. So we all have these growth boundary agreements. Now, I personally, being a new mayor, was not in the room when all the mayors in the county met, and there seems to be a spirit of the agreement that I've been told was you don't go outside the agreement. However, in this agreement that all my city council signed, there's a paragraph in there, paragraph 5, subsection D, that lays out the exact process that a city takes when there's a property outside the growth boundary that abuts city property. So we've always followed it to a T. Now, they can say that we broke a spirit. However, their county attorney is the ones who wrote the agreement. So it's very frustrating when the whole reason for them pushing for this bill was the rhetoric that we had broken it and that we had done a lot of things we shouldn't do. The truth is, this probably is 10, 15 years in the making, where they were frustrated with the growth down Hickory, or the growth, that Hickory Flat didn't like, which is a big part of Brad's base that votes for him. But without that growth, let's be honest, there'd be no Harmony on the Lakes, right? We'd have no other beautiful neighborhoods like that that are signature in our community. So it's important for us to make sure that people understand that we're not breaking rules, right? We're not doing any of that stuff. And I think it's a slippery slope when the state gets involved because they don't like an annexation. I think everybody here agrees that personal property rights matter. The two 85-year-old ladies that own that piece of property, they've been approached probably 20 times for people that want to do things, and they were constantly denied. And this particular project, it was a person you guys probably know well, Penn Hodge was involved in it. It was going to be a great project, 2 sit-down restaurants, some medical. There was going to be some decent density towards the back, but if those restaurants weren't there and you spread that density over the whole project, it wasn't much more than the county had already done themselves in Hickory Flat. I think there's just such a bad view of Holly Springs with Hickory Flat because of the past 10, 15 years. But the project itself could have been great. It would have been something that a lot of people wanted. It didn't port right out into 140, and it took care of these ladies that this is basically their retirement package, right? Now, there are implications for this. I mean, you look statewide, it's a very big thing, specifically bond ratings. If the state can constantly go in and they can modify city boundaries, well, we have to, pledge those whenever we go to get our bonds, right? So if that goes down, that means cost for everybody here goes up for anybody that lives in our communities. So there's a big challenge with that. I mean, and the other side of it that I was really passionate about is if one person in my community has taxes go up because of this, or if one public safety person loses their job, if somebody has one of those top tier calls into 911 and we need to respond quickly, we can't get there and something bad happens to them, etc., then that's a big deal, right? Especially when it was done punitively when there was no reason to punish. It's passed the House, it's passed the Senate. When it passed the House, nobody, everybody was told that we had broken these rules and that had not seen a map. And then, we made a lot of corrections, luckily, and it minimized it down to where the cost of the city was probably somewhere around $250,000, okay, in lost revenue, which it's not that, it just shouldn't happen, right? That the reality is it shouldn't happen. So in that bill, what they basically did is they de-annexed the northwest quadrant of East Cherokee and Highway 140, where Vito's is, all that stuff is there. They took the neighborhood next to that out of the city without asking anybody, okay? This is the big problem with the de-annexations. And there was a couple other small communities. But they didn't ask anybody about the de-annexations. So you ask Crestwood, right? If you go talk to them, well, hey, are you okay being pulled out? Because now you may not get the response times that the city and local control of Holly Springs is able to provide. Hey, the county does a tremendous job, but they're also understaffed right now, which makes it a little bit more challenging for them to hit the sprawling parts of the county. So having that ability to, if I was selling a house there like you guys are, sometimes it's easier to sell it with the response times and the public safety that we provide. And then they're trying to force annex in. You guys probably saw there's a brand new apartment complex going in at exit 14. We originally turned that project down and the county came in and approved it. So now they're trying to force annex them in without asking the property owner, and which is a whole nother thing. I feel like the state gives us an annexation and de-annexation process, and to go through the process of doing this unilaterally, again, doesn't feel right, but there's no reason to punish or push somebody one way or the other. Now, I think the county's gonna reimburse it. I know that apartment complex is given $750,000 in impact fees to the county. But I'm hoping they're gonna refund that. There's been conversations that that's what would happen because they would have to pay city taxes now, so it would be getting hit on both sides. So there's a lot of problems with that, if you ask me, and you know, the next step of this would be to see if it gets vetoed. I know that Governor Kemp is a local control guy, so this seems like something right up his alley. But these are the reasons that we're really fighting it, the reasons that we don't feel like it's right for our residents or any employee that we currently have. But yeah, thank you.
Well, again, following what these guys said, and of course, Ryan is in the middle of this and certainly has more impact on Holly Springs. But first statement is local control is best. I think we all agree that. I think we have these issues, you know, in a growth, we are in a high growth area and region, and the county is certainly growing. A lot of these growing pains are left over from, you know, when cities and county weren't working together or collaborating effectively. We all do currently have growth boundary agreements. We just had a meeting yesterday where we're actively talking with the county and about future growth, the next 50 to 100 years, and what that looks like. As some of you may know or have heard, the county is not necessarily, you know, very accepting of growth, but we know that Cherokee County will grow. But there is consensus that growth would be primarily focused on the cities. The cities would grow, infill density would happen there, and the rural beauty of Cherokee County would remain and hopefully be focused and strategically planned. So we're all talking about the future. We're dealing with these issues now. There are other, you know, local legislation that has been proposed. So far, we've been pretty successful on a lot of that would even take local control of our building standards all you know, out of our control. So we find this all the time. It's not just annexation and growth issues, but we're in better hands when local governments have control over their city limits. City of Canton, again, I think we all are a little bit differently in how we've grown, how we've gotten to where we are. City of Canton, for instance, grew a lot with annexations, you know, 25 years ago with Soleil, Laurel Canyon, River Green, the big developments, Great Sky, and annexing the city. You know, since I've been mayor on the city council, we've been much more focused on infill. We currently have pockets of unincorporated Cherokee County inside our city limits, coming up 140 coming here today. You know, there's a lot of those issues there where, you know, one parcel is beautiful and well maintained, and the next one is in great need of improvement. So we are focused on you know, quality versus quantity when it comes to growth and annexation. We'd rather grow and improve our existing footprint inside the city. We'd like to clean up some of the jagged edges where it makes sense, our water and sewer service, and we're trying to focus on that as well. So we're not necessarily interested in enhancing the overall footprint of the city, unless it was a project that really made sense or fit our roadmap. You know, we work strategically with our roadmap of success that guides our decisions. When the developers come to the city, they want to do a project in the city, they have to sign an affidavit that they've read the roadmap, they have to tell us how they would enhance our roadmap, how they would meet that. So we're trying to focus on that, but we all have slightly different issues there, but I can say that we are working together, collaborating like never before, especially since I've been in Canton and Cherokee County. So I'm encouraged about the future. I think we have some of these growing pains that are a natural part of the process, but they also happen when, you know, when people stick their noses in our business and try to tell us how, you know, we should do things. And so I don't think any of us appreciate that, but we're committed to working together and helping our neighbors to improve. But some of these issues, and Hickory, Holly Springs is dealing with this, you know, and you have Hickory Flat and all the growth that's happening there. It's unincorporated. Some people said, well, maybe they will become a city one day, but all that growth is happening without a plan, and that creates, you know, even, I think, future issues and current issues there as to how that community develops. So there's a lot of dynamics going on just because the county is growing, the cities are growing differently, a lot of the same ways, but again, when we control our growth, that's based on what our citizens want to see. We're in the best position to do that. So.
Thank you. Mayors are paid to be political, city managers are paid to be paranoid. I see it having far-reaching implications for every taxpayer in Georgia. Unfortunately, we're in a position when we do larger projects, it always results in debt. So everything rolling back on debt comes out on bond ratings. Bond ratings and valuations tie back to your tax digest. It's one thing that cities have had complete and total control over. What impact do the rating agencies now have when they assess a city, and what are they going to take into account and consideration that angering one commissioner or 2 or 3 reps or whatever, you can come in and diminish the digest by de-annexing property? So where does that factor into future interest rates, future bond ratings, and things of that nature? So I think it's a horrible piece of legislation. When we say it doesn't, it impacts just Holly Springs, no. The precedent is set if this is signed and has the ability to impact every taxpayer in Georgia.
So, this is sort of a hypothetical question. Is we talk to members in our community, and they say their property taxes have basically doubled in the last 6 to 10 years. And they don't understand how that money's being spent. I know from research, cost of teachers have gone up, cost of workers have gone up, cost of asphalt has gone up. But if you were sitting around a dinner table at any one of these tables and somebody asked you, you're collecting double the money, where is it going? How would you answer it? We'll start with Paul Brown.
First thing I'd say is get your tax bill out and dissect it and look at exactly what is being paid to which entity. I'm not sure who all in here, but like Paul Brown, we are on the county tax bill. So we pay the tax commissioner, I believe it's $2 a parcel. They bill and collect for us. So our bill shows up right on the county bill, the school bill, everything else. So I encourage them, get out and take a look at the city segment of that. Obviously, taxes have gone up on what they're paying. I think most of us sitting here can say historically we have rolled back, reduced our rate to compensate for the increased values in property. But you've got to look at that piece of it. The other thing we also have to look at is citizen demand, and tell a story kind of lighthearted, but Ball Ground's a different part of the county. So if we look back at Ball Ground 1970, Ball Ground was the poorest community in Cherokee County, okay? The city of Ball Ground at that time made up less than 2% of the population and accounted for 18% of all public assistance in the county, within the city. At this time, we have no low to moderate income census tracts left. We don't qualify for any of the regional development monies or those types of things. We are now the second highest per capita income in the county. What changed with that is we entertained a wealthier group, was also a huge demand in increased services. As that changed, we found that the community that we once served that didn't need anything from its government now calls its government if the deer are eating the petunias, if we have baby squirrels in the front yard, the ball field lights are shutting in the window. So there's been a massive increase in services, but I don't think in most cases that they'll see that the tax in the cities has really doubled.
Great, thank you.
Following off of what Eric said, again, I'd encourage you to pull out your tax bill, also look at and look at what has happened with your taxes for the school district. And people don't, they see the bill, none of us likes to pay taxes, but you see the bill and they kind of lump it all together as taxes, and they want increased services, they want more, but they want to pay less. So again, we cut our taxes this year. If you want to know how it's being spent, again, look at this report. Every line item in our budget is connected to our roadmap for success, which originated with our citizens and their priorities, and where they want to spend their money. Again, also, people who are like, my taxes have doubled, but like, what is your property value? You know, has that increased? You know, oh, well, yes, but, and it's more than and double increased in value. So again, there's a lot of issues at play. I know, you know, everyone sitting around this table has worked really hard to keep taxes low, cut them, roll them back, and that doesn't happen everywhere. So where do they go? They go in paving projects. They go to the city of Canton, to our new sewer treatment plant, the largest municipal project in the city's history, $65 million plus. That's going to allow our citizens to keep complaining about taxes, but be able to flush their toilets for the next 50, 100 years. So, but we're doing large projects like that, the new parks, the gateway project that I've spoken about, that again, and still cutting taxes, not increasing them. So again, we all try to use the money wisely and spend effectively. In addition to property taxes, we all have other sources of funding, such as SPLOST and T-SPLOST now for transportation projects. Everyone complains about traffic and transportation, but now we have a method where anyone coming into Cherokee County and shopping from anywhere in the world are helping us, you know, pave our roads in addition. So, City of Canton, for instance, last year, I think it was over $20 million that we secured in federal and local state grants. So we are always looking at other sources of income and revenue. All the projects, again, I mentioned are through SPLOST or T-SPLOST or impact fees that developers are paying when they want to develop in the city. And a lot of these large projects actually aren't funded by property taxes. So, but again, everyone wants, you know, police and public safety, and again, we all have great public safety records. And the city of Canton was just named one of the 20th safest suburbs in the country. These cities are safe. We're investing. Our police department is fully staffed. Again, so if you want to know where your money is being spent, again, I think that information is readily available, and I think we can all defend, you know, how we're spending taxpayer money. But I think people just kind of refer, I don't want to pay taxes, and my taxes should be lower, and they don't really kind of look at those details. So,
Yeah, for those of you that don't follow it, 70% roughly of the property tax goes to the schools. Right. So I got to turn 62 and I got to reduce that, so that was pleasant. I have a number of questions from the audience. Some of them, I'll rephrase. One is, what can we do, and I think I'll answer this one for everybody, to stop the de-annexation bill. Right now, it's sitting on the governor's desk. If you're a Holly Springs resident and you're not thrilled with it, contact the governor's office and say, don't sign it into law. I think that would be, you know, rather than having the four of them answer for 20 minutes. That's it. Somebody asked, they'd like to get more involved. What could they do to support the cities? And just a quick answer from each of you. What could they do?
678-523-8570. That's my cell phone number. We're really easy to reach.
No, he's correct. I think each of us is very accessible. Reach out. If there's something that you think would either be a benefit or you see an issue that we are not focused on, please reach out. Let's do that. There's always opportunities to get involved in planning and zoning, parks and rec, all that stuff. Those are all people that live in our communities that care about it and want to have a voice in those. We'll run for city council. We'll run for road jobs. But
careful what you wish for.
Yeah. But thank you guys. We really do appreciate as engaged as you guys are in our cities, and that's a big reason that we are where we are in Cherokee County.
you know, lots of opportunities to get involved, reach out. City of Canton, we have a citizen participation application. You can go online, fill out that application. I know some of you have done it, and other members are joining our boards and commissions in the city and helping us guide in our planning and how the city grows and the quality of that growth. Your expertise is extremely valuable, and as you know, all the time we hear all the time, we're like, stop the growth, stop the growth. We don't want to grow, we don't want to grow. So when we talk about these issues and why, if you're not growing, you're dying, as to quote the former mayor of Ball Ground. That is true, but how we grow and the quality of the growth and helping people understand why we have to grow. We're going to grow in spite of, if we didn't do anything, we would grow. But always talking about how do we curate that growth and the growth we want in the county and in our cities, what's appropriate for each city, what's appropriate for Woodstock's not appropriate for Canton or Holly Springs or Ball Ground. But I think we're all doing a great job there. But I think we're all open and accessible. Our councils are open and accessible, and our cities in general, come to our meetings. Just, I think, more important than anything else, just be involved and be engaged and be informed of what's going on, what we're doing, what our roadmaps are doing, where your taxes are going, so your customers and people wanting to relocate here know what's going on, and you can be better informed when you're working, collaborating with them. So.
It's amazing the information you can pick up at a work session or a meeting of mayor and council. So start by attending.
Terrific advice. I think one of the challenges at the county level and at the city level is everybody that goes to testify is anti any development, any expenditure, anything other than what keeps their backyard looking the same as their backyard has always looked, except for it hasn't always looked that way. So show up to these meetings, and we as the board of directors for the Cherokee Association of Realtors, we strongly encourage you to show up at the meetings. Several of the questions ran onto attainable, affordable housing as to what your definition would be. It's a complicated issue, and we could spend the next 6 hours talking with that. And so what I'm gonna say, the cities don't have a ton of control. The county has a ton of control at what gets built and where it gets built. We all know, several questions were, why are we building things above the median price, or that it's not attainable or not affordable? It's where the money is right now for the developers. We've addressed this issue. I don't want to take anybody's time. If you have a specific question for the city you live in, contact one of these gentlemen afterwards. The last question is just for Mayor Caldwell, and this is an interesting one. When will there be a plan to bypass the city of Woodstock? To go from the west side or east side to the west side is next to impossible without huge delays. Not every resident in the city lives downtown, and now we're adding Publix and other businesses to an already congested roundabout.
It's a good question. All right, I don't have the exact date, so east-west bypass, I'm going to say the plan is somewhere around 1995 when they four-laned Highway 92. We have an east-west bypass. Highway 92 is right there. It is a huge state route, and its entire purpose is to bypass downtown Woodstock. We also have a north-south bypass. Anybody know what it's called? I-575, thank you. It's a huge federally invested bypass that bypasses downtown Woodstock and each of our cities. Guys, I absolutely hear you. I understand. I grew up in Town Lake. My first job was out in the Alpharetta area. I used to use Main Street Town Lake and Arnold Mill as the cut through. We all did. All of us coming up in careers in the 90s and the early 2000s found that cut around and we didn't have to use 92. Woodstock's unique in that its intersection is the legal center of the city. The original charter placed the center there at the intersection of Arnold Mill and Main Street. Most cities have one directional morning and evening traffic. We have two. And we've got traffic on the main bypasses going around the city. I have quad directional traffic at the legal center of the city. Here's my short answer. I'm not building the best bypass in the state. We are building the best city in the state. And so yes, I appreciate it's painful to have to slow down from your 45 miles an hour to get into the center of the city of Woodstock. I've never driven through a place I wanted to be and not needed to slow down to go through it. We absolutely need continued improvement on 92 and 575. We are continuing to work with the state and the feds to do so. But in the center of the city, it's a city. You should expect to slow down coming through the center of the city. The worst thing you can see happen to a city like any of ours is four-laning the traffic through the center of town. It's the immediate way to completely and totally kill pedestrian connectivity. The success of Woodstock, the way we've managed to bring tax rates down, the way we've managed to build a place people want to be, is it's a place you want to come down and spend time and walk around and feel safe. Where I can let my kid run out in front of me and I don't worry about a car plowing him over. It is a city built around making sure that the cars that come through need to move. We're continuing to consolidate pedestrian crossings. I've even gotten to talk to you about the cool stuff we're doing with Elm Street and pedestrian thoroughfares and how we're continuing to make sure there are fewer crossing points on those roadways. But it is a pedestrian-focused city. It has to remain so, and it will continue to remain so. So we have those bypasses. I think it was about 1995 we planned for that one.
He had them built before he was born.
Thank you. That's very complimentary. That's not true.
So for those of you that are looking as to what plans are out there to make a home more affordable, I suggest talking to your local, friendly, knowledgeable lender, because they know what plans are there, what zip codes or parcels are available for down payment assistance, FHA 203K loans, everything. So talk to your lenders rather than the mayors. They don't control much of what the interest rate was. I know Mr. Shirley or Mayor Shirley calls Donald Trump every week and says lower the interest rates to 3%, and he just doesn't listen to him. You know, the mayors have a tough job. They are the face of the town. You see him. I saw Mayor Shirley in Holly Springs with you know, Sunday night waved, and that's it. They're the public face, but they have to work with a lot of moving pieces to get anything done in any of the cities. And so support them, show up to the council meetings, show up to the Cherokee regional meetings, and just give them a big round of applause for even being willing to be here today and meet with you.
Hey there, this is Jimmy Payne. I'm the VP of Government Services this year. And this meeting today that we had, general membership meeting with the mayors, was absolutely incredible. We got a lot of information about their growth strategy and about the projects that they have planned. And this really was probably one of the best ones that we've had. We try and do this every year, but this was a spectacular event. If you missed it, hopefully you can come next year. But this was a great event to have, and really shows how much our board is involved in the community, and we want to make sure you guys get the message.